Multiple ex-WWE talent debut in AEW. What happened after Dynamite went off the air? Well, you better stay tuned and you'll find out. And AEW New Japan's second Forbidden Door pay-per-view has been announced. Stay tuned for the news. Adam, there's lots of X's happening. There's lots of AEW things happening. Let's just dive straight into it because there's a lot to talk about.
Go on, there's loads here.
So, I think many people sort of speculating as of last week when Jade Cargill was like, I want the best that Canada has to offer. Taya Valkyrie has made her debut in AEW. So, former Impact Knockouts champion Taya Valkyrie has indeed signed with the company and made her promotional debut on last night's Dynamite in Winnipeg. TBS Women's Champion Jade Cargill had just finished defending a title against Canadian wrestler Nicole Matthews, but she wasn't the best.
She's rubbish!
She's rubbish! She's not the best.
She got squashed and then out comes bloody Taya.
Yep. Hey? So then Valkyrie's music hit. She confronted Cargill and Layla Gray inside the ring. Cargill left the ring and then Gray tried to attack Valkyrie, only for Valkyrie to hit her with the Road to Valhalla, which is basically just Cargill's Jaded. It's just got a different name because Valkyrie and Valhalla and Vikings and all that, you know what I mean?
How will they coexist?
How will they coexist?
They won't, they're opponents. So this is really great news. Taya finished up with Impact. Mm-hmm. It was being speculated whether she would go to WWE or AEW. I think AEW played it really, really well. Having the jobber come out, Jade squashes her.
Yes.
Job is a strong word, sorry. Having Matthews go out and squash her. And then Taya comes out with a, I think, really impactful debut. She is indeed signed with the company, with Tony Khan doing the typical "is all elite" tweet following that.
Yes.
And I'm really, really happy to see her. And I really, really hope she beats Jade Cargill. I hope she's the one.
Do you think she's the one?
I don't know. No, I have no idea. But the Jade Cargill thing has been stagnated for me for a long, long time. It's become repetitive. You eventually have to end that. I don't want to see her relinquish the title in some way and then go after the big un. I want to see Taya Valkyrie beat her, and I want to see her beat her clean, to be honest.
I would love to see that as well.
Taya.
I've got all my chips in Chris Statlander when she comes back, but I think the way that they've positioned Taya Valkyrie here with her not being the opponent to come out and face Jade Cargill like straight away, so then we don't get that match where she just like loses straight off the bat. But you build it up a little bit to make it feel a little bit more like
to make it feel like a big loss,
like a really big loss. No, to make it feel a bit more credible, at least. Anyway, you know.
Yeah. I agree with the Statlander thing.
Yeah.
I don't know when Statlander's going to be good to go. She was it like a bowling thing that they did pre-pay-per-view?
Yeah.
She was advertised for that. So if she can bowl, surely you can take a few bumps, right?
Come on now.
So
what are you doing?
I agree. I agree. Statlander is probably the best shout from a storyline perspective, but I wouldn't say no to Taya being the one as well.
No, me neither. I feel like she's definitely. Obviously, she's already had so many accolades, but I think since leaving WWE and the Frankie Monet stuff, she's gone on to do lots of good things in Impact, as we were saying before, AAA as well. I think she's won titles there. So she feels like a next step up, like an actual natural next step up for Jade Cargill that's not hopefully just going to be us going, well, she's not going to do it, but you know,
probably not though. Is she?
I mean, she's probably not.
Jade Cargill.
That's very true.
Eh?
We'll see. However, we also have another ex-WWE person joining AEW. PW Insider, have reported that former WWE Performance Center coach Sarah Stock had signed on with AEW as a coach and producer. She's previously experienced working as a producer for the WWE main roster and had a past stint as a Performance Center coach as well. Unfortunately, she was part of, I believe, like the furloughed, the people that got furloughed in 2020 when everything was happening there.
I remember thinking, oh, that's quite bizarre because like she was really highly talked about. Like all the people's matches who she was producing. I remember reading a lot of people going, oh man, she's really, really good at her job. She can do the production stuff and she can do the training stuff. And then Tony Khan brings her out prior to Rampage.
Yep.
Here she is. Say hello. It's probably not going to be televised, but there you go. And there you go. So good for her.
This is great. I think this is a great get for AEW as well. Sarah Stock has been a person that's been within wrestling for quite a long time at this point. I had a look online and everything, and she was doing some incredible stuff in women's wrestling in like 2007. Like she was really trying to I think, pushed forward what women's wrestling was at the time. And she's been to like Japan, she's been in Shimmer, CMLL, I think, a lot of Mexican promotions and American promotions too. So she's definitely been around and she's got a lot of experience. She's very sort of a technical wrestler, so it's always good to have someone on hand that's like that. And she can do some of the more high-fly stuff as well, which is really good.
Sounds like a
blend
good
of
get.
everything. So yeah, absolutely.
Good for her. I like
really,
seeing
really
people
good.
get jobs. I'm glad, especially where she was furloughed. She's back in wrestling with a big company. Good for her. Good for her.
Absolutely. And moving on over from people going to AEW, we've got a person from AEW going to Impact Wrestling.
It's a reverse Taya Valkyrie.
What?
Who are you talking about?
Kylie King.
Yeah.
She has revealed that she signed an exclusive contract with Impact Wrestling. So after making her debut for Impact at the December 2022 tapings, King has now signed an exclusive deal with the promotion. So from 2020 to 2022, King was a regular on AEW Dark and Dark Elevation, not really having sort of any substantial televised matches or anything like that.
You say that. I was shocked by how many she had. I remember watching her in a fair few matches right across Dark and Dark Elevation. I don't watch Elevation that often. And then I looked at a cage match. She'd wrestled like 50 odd times for the company. She was never signed proper or anything, but she was a regular on AEW TV.
Yeah.
And good for her getting the call from Impact. She was chatting away with Steve Fall of WrestlingNews.co. Said, I've been trying to get some work there for a while. Tommy Dreamer and Gail Kim, both big advocates for me there. So right around December, I had the opportunity to go work with them for the first time, and I got to work with Taylor and Giselle. About a week or two after I had that interaction with them, I got a call saying, hey, we want to offer you something. And I was like, yeah. The moment got there, the backstage atmosphere was just amazing. Everybody's so uplifting and encouraging. They just want the best product out there, and that's the kind of locker room you want to be in. It's really nice to hear that like the Impact locker room always gets heaps of praise now from the people that are working there. It is just people wanting to put on the best possible show. I think they've got a really decent roster. I don't think enough people are watching them. And that, you can't blame the fans for that. We're spoiled for choice. There's so much great wrestling out there. But if you haven't done so, give Impact a chance. I can't claim that I watch Impact Wrestling every week, but every time that I do, I think I should probably watch Impact Wrestling every week because it is really fun.
And the women's roster in Impact as well, I think, is very strong. So for her, to go to Impact and have matches with these like really well-known women's wrestlers, you've got like my mind has literally just gone blank as I've said that.
Taya Valkyrie.
You've got Jordan Grace and people like that as well. There's a lot. There's a lot of good. Yes, a lot of good women's wrestlers there. And so for her to have those matches with those people and maybe earn a little bit more experience, you can't really go wrong with that, can you? She had a fantastic match, I think, against Giselle Shaw as well, in like January or something. Giselle.
Gazelle is something else.
A gazelle is a bird, right?
No.
What's a gazelle?
It's like a little deer thing.
I thought
it's not. I think it's
moving on.
Let us know in the comments. Animals.
Let us know in the comments what a gazelle or a giselle is. Moving on. We're moving on. All the best to Kylie King, by the way.
All the best to all the gazelles out there.
Absolutely. So recently we have heard and we have seen the Bella Twins are leaving WWE.
They're not the Bella Twins anymore.
They're the Garcia Twins now.
The Garcias.
And I think a few people were speculating whether or not they would go over to AEW.
It makes sense.
It
Daniel
does make
Garcia, it's all there.
It's all I didn't even think about that. Fantastic. No, we saw Saraya tweet at them being like, congratulations, welcome to freedom. And I think a lot of people sort of speculated that as maybe they were going to join the Outcast, this new group of ex-WWE talent in AEW.
No.
And no, apparently not. So during an Instagram live with Nikki Garcia, she said, we're not going to AEW. I know, I've seen a lot of that because I think we were just there visiting Renee Paquette and Paige. Saraya. I was like, I haven't had the opportunity to take her son Mateo backstage to a wrestling event. And when we knew Uncle Brian was going to be there, Mateo loves his Uncle Brian. Brie and I were like, we have to go and see Brian. The kids had so much fun.
So two great bits of news, in fact, there. Two great bits of news. In the kids had so much fun. That's lovely to hear. And also, the Bellas aren't joining AEW.
Yeah.
It's a double whammy as far as I'm concerned. No, I like the Bellas and everything, but I don't see them coming back to do anything full-time. I don't know, she could be working us. I might be proven wrong, but I doubt it. I think they've got eyes on other things. I think they want to do wider entertainment stuff away from wrestling, and who can blame them, right? They wrestled for an awful long time. Whether you love them or hate them, or if you're indifferent, I think they made a pretty big impact, and they've done their work, and like they're not spring chickens anymore.
No.
I'm choosing my words carefully there.
No,
I just don't think they want to work full time.
No, I completely agree. I don't think there's much else to comment on that. I think you've hit it right on the head there.
Smashed it.
Let's tell the people what happened after Dynamite went off the air, because I guess something quite large happened for fans of a certain wrestling faction.
Yeah, so there was a big like cliffhanger at the end of the show.
Yeah.
Tell us how it played out.
So we had the trios title match between the JAS, the House of Black, and the Elite. And prior to that, however, we need to go back a little tiny bit. We had the Blackpool Combat Club up against Hangman Page, Stu Grayson, and Eva Luno as well, of the Dark Order. That sort of devolved, the Blackpool Combat Club becoming a lot more heelish now in nature. Moxley wouldn't let the Bulldog choke off on Stu Grayson after the match. What a
bang out of order.
And then, that led to more brawls. Silver and Reynolds came out, more brawls between the two factions, and then off scurry the BCC through the crowd. And then we get to the end of the trios tag team title match, and it was fantastic. Really, really good match. And then after said match, again, it all devolves. What happens is we get a little bit backstage, the screen cuts backstage, and we see the BCC and the Dark Order scrapping with one another. This then leads to them coming out on the rampway, getting involved in everything after the match, and then we see Hangman Adam Page align with his ex-Elite buddies, and we've got BCC on one side, and then we've got the Elite and the Bucks on the other side, or at least Hangman Page and the Bucks. Kenny's on the outside, and then you've got the Young Bucks being like, should we, no, and then they get out of the ring and side with Kenny.
After Kenny goes out first, but the Young Bucks stand there for a little bit thinking, hey, could we be friends again? And then they go outside of the ring. So it's nothing like massive, but the story here is that the Young Bucks were thinking about it perhaps a little bit more than Kenny.
Yeah, the story is here that Hangman Page is a fickle being and just chooses his friends on off with whoever's the hardest. I'll side with it. It's absolutely disgusting behaviour. Disgusting behaviour. We'll see what happens. We've seen this sort of play out for a few months at this point. Hangman sort of teasing that he wants to see fences be mended. We've seen Being the Elite stuff. If you don't watch Being the Elite, little bits and caveats happen here and there. Like, he'll be on the phone, which is a banana for some reason, and he'll pick up a photo of the Bucks, and it's teasing, obviously, something happening down the line. When it'll happen, we'll see. They like to play these things out quite they like to stretch them out quite a bit.
Long-term storytelling,
It's long-term storytelling.
Get on with it.
Yeah, bloody idiots. Moving on. AEW have announced the new Forbidden Door pay-per-view, so ahead of their debut in Winnipeg, Canada, yesterday, AEW announced a Canadian tour for this summer, which will include the return of Forbidden Door with New Japan Pro Wrestling. Are you excited about this?
Yeah, loved it. You know what? Last year I thought the build wasn't all that, but then the pay-per-view near enough blew me away. I thought it was great. And AEW have got a bit of a habit of doing that sometimes.
Yeah, they do.
The build isn't amazing, but then you watch the show and it's like, oh, okay, that's Revolution's a really good example of that, actually. Like, I wasn't hyped for it at all, and then I watched it live, and I'm like, oh, yeah, that was very, very good.
Yes.
So you've got the Forbidden Door pay-per-view, which is going to be on the Sunday. That's July the 16th, am I right? No, sorry, Sunday, June 20th.
Yes.
But also, you've got some June and July dates in there as well. So they're going to be doing Dynamite and Rampage in Hamilton, Ontario, Dynamite and Rampage in Edmonton, Alberta. July 12th, they're going to be doing Dynamite, in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan, you know what
Gazelle.
I mean. And then Rampage at the Brand Centre in Regina, Saskatchewan. And then House Rules at the Saddle Dome as part of the Calgary Stampede in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. There you go. I got nailed that,
and Brett's going to be there, every single one of them, to beat Jade Cargill for the TBS Championship.
Loads to get through there, wasn't there? It's a big AEW heavy news video.
Yes.
Please, this evening, I'm back doing WWE 2K23 My Rise. It's episode 4. Yesterday's was an absolute disaster. It wasn't on my side last night, the game. It was not on my side. It was it was a long one. Anyway, if you want to watch 9 p.m. This evening, I'll be live on the Cultaholic YouTube channel. Hopefully see you there.
And until next time, what's a Giselle or a gazelle? See you later.